Welcome,
You're
welcome. You
live.
listen to 360 Info. I'm your host, Antonio. To manipulate history is to manipulate consciousness. And to manipulate consciousness is to manipulate possibilities. And to manipulate possibilities is to manipulate power. Welcome, welcome to the show. Got a great show for you as usual. We just so tickled that you guys keep tuning in to the show, and listening to what we have to say. We try to bring you some good information, some good information that you can use and hopefully, cause you to do some research as well, because that's what it's all about knowledge. You have to be actually living under a rock not to be aware of all the things that is going around in the city, the state, the country, abroad in Africa. It's just this just not just a time, I think, that we need to be really tuned in to what's going on, so we know how to navigate through these muddy waters that are going on right now, that is taking place. So you know so we try to do our part to bring you some good information and consciousness, so you can take with you. Yeah, today look like it might be a decent day. The brother Vince, it might be a decent day. For the next week, look like it might be fair. So if you need to get some things done, I guess this is the time to do. Some of the people around getting that last cut in, or getting that little rake in before that little white stuff that a lot of us don't want to talk about, but it may be here and upon us. That little white stuff come down. But you know what? We tend to navigate through it. Just it's just anticipation of it coming. It's just like, here we go again. But then, so brother Vince in the remote studio, what's going on?
Well, I just got to take a moment to acknowledge our friends, the Hugh People Vocal Ensemble. They performed at the Music Box last night, and it was absolutely magical. And, I can't overstate the importance of our connection to music and the edifying aspect that it has upon us. They make a deliberate effort to bring conscious music, and we got that last night. And of course, Eric Roberson was amazing as well. So it was a great night at the Music Box and a great night for music in Cleveland. I want to just mention that we are going to be doing music and the spoken word at Larchmere Arts next Saturday evening. So come on by. It's only $15 to get in. We have a brother who is half of the team Love Ties. His name is Jamil Smith, and he's going to be our featured poet. And we'll have some musicians to provide some music for that event as well. So just come on by. It's 12726 Larchmere Boulevard. Today is Veterans Day, so I'm sure we're going to see a lot of tributes to folks who have been kind enough to give their service to the country and give their service to us. But I just want to underscore the fact that, what we did came with a great sacrifice. Those of us who served in wars, um, they always tell us it's for one reason, and somehow it ends up being for something else. So,
Always.
just give props to those who put their lives on the line, but know that when they talk about fighting for the country, they was talking about fighting for some corporate interests, fighting for the war machine. It wasn't about protecting democracy. I'm gonna
That's what
step
they
off
always
that
say.
soapbox and welcome to our broadcast one of our dear brothers. He's probably one of the most frequent guests that we've had on the show, and there's interest in brother Wayne worldwide. He has an international following, so it's always a privilege and a pleasure to have him on the air with us. What we want to talk about today, in light of certain developments in our economy, is prosperity, because when you look around and you see what's happening, and we're dealing with what they have said is 2, 3, maybe 4% inflation, when in fact it's probably somewhere around 8 or 9%, and in reality, and I'm sure brother Wayne can corroborate this, it's probably even higher than that. They use inaccurate measures for inflation. So with all that said, I think it's just incumbent upon us to do what we can to manage our finances, to grow our finances, grow our wealth, develop intergenerational wealth, which we have an ability to do in these times, but you have to know what's going on. So we want to bring you what's going on in the world marketplace right now. And to do that, Brother Wayne Chandler is the author of Ancient Future, the Teachings and Prophetic Wisdom of the Seven Hermetic Laws of Ancient Egypt. Bro, I can't tell you how long it took me to memorize the title of your book, because it's it's so easy to just say ancient future, but when you give the rest of it, you put it into perspective. And it is it's just a great book. You know, there are several books that I've read in my lifetime, and Ancient Future is one of those books that I've read 2.5 times. And I highly recommend it to folks. I'm going to go ahead and give a shout out to our brother Greg Simmons, because I send folks to Greg. Wayne can send folks to Amazon, but Greg, he's in a shop that's probably 3 minutes away from where Wayne lives. And I just think it's good to deal with local vendors and let them get the benefit of the profit. So anyway, welcome to 360 Info Network today, our brother Wayne Chandler.
Yeah, good to be here. Good to be back.
Yeah, there you go.
Bob. That's
Now,
great, brother.
some of you may not know this, but in addition to being an author, Wayne is also a Qigong master. And so we're going to talk about frequency and the relationship of frequency to prosperity, because there are things that you can do with your mind, your body, and spirit that can foster a certain level of prosperity in your life. You can look at the glass as being half full, or you can look at the glass as being half empty. And if you're one of those half empty folks, then you're probably dealing from a perspective of lack. But when you reverse that and you look at things from an idea that there is prosperity, then you're able to plug into it, because as you are well aware, or you may not be aware, when you tell your body something, it reacts to that, and that becomes your reality, and it continues to be your reality. So let's just talk about prosperity in general, and then we're going to talk about precious metals, which is something that Brother Wayne is very versed in. We're going to talk about Forex and cryptocurrency. We're going to talk about investing, and we're going to give you some resources. So we're going to give you a chance to plug in to a network of people who are tuned into ways to grow wealth and to increase and foster abundance. So with all that, let's talk about the half full, half empty scenario. Talk to us about how you can actually change your mindset to increase abundance in your life.
Yeah, I think it's different for everyone because everybody has gone through their own experiences that have created across the board what we would refer to or categorize as a level of poverty consciousness. And a lot of it is just not taking the time to explore the various financial mechanisms that are at your disposal that can turn your life around or at least give you an open door to a different financial reality. You know, some people like really have this idea, like Mr. Brother David Chappelle tells this really great story of when he asked his father for some money, and his father says, well, I don't have it. And David said he just kind of threw a lightweight tantrum and just said, you know, I'm tired. I'm tired of being poor. And he said his father looked at him and he said, you're not poor. We're not poor. Poor is a state of mind. We're broke, you know. And so a lot of what we experience, in our family in terms of what's transferred to us as young adults or young children really sits and settles with us, and we carry that perspective as we move through life. And what happens is once you embrace this idea of this is how you're set and conditioned to operate, it follows you throughout your days. And the body, as Vince said, responds to that. So you have what's called the reticular activating system. And the reticular activating system is an area in the brain that literally responds to how one creates belief systems that they carry. So, for example, if you believe that you are less than, if you believe that you have and move in a poverty setting that is inescapable for you, the reticular activating system literally goes out into the environment and identifies those very things to pretty much manifest that reality that you're carrying in your own body mind. And so it's about how do you switch and turn off those types of mechanisms. And, that's what we as a community really is challenged with, substantially. And, that's the basic key is how do we flip that script? How do we, turn that on button that we navigate with to off to like expand our potential to give us new and flourishing, opportunities as we navigate the world, because everything is about to change now. In 2025, we're going to be in a totally different financial reality, and it's going to be global. And I was speaking with yesterday. I went to a funeral. A sister that I went to school with, Joanne Evans, her one of her daughters passed prematurely, and in doing that, people came from out of town, and one was a good friend of mine. Some of you may know Silas Ashley, and we're sitting and talking up through the evening. And one of the things we were talking about was just the financial piece and how so many of us in our community have no idea what's about to transpire. This financial perfect storm that is moving in and around the entire global culture and is about to shift us into places that many of us are going to be very uncomfortable in going. And
I'm
one
on
of
the
the
air, Mom.
I speak on and tell people all the time, even those in the market, in the various asset marketplaces, the mantra of the WEF is that you will own nothing and be happy. And I laid this on Silas last night, and it just blew him away, that and he could begin, after we talked, he could begin to see the small incremental elements that are descending upon the current culture and locking in and creating a new day.
When you think about that saying, you will own nothing and be happy, and you look at it as being something that's kind of down the road, but in actuality, it's something that's kind of already here with us. Um, the world is changing rapidly. You know, in some of the gatherings that we've had online, we've looked at what the World Economic Forum is doing, some of the things that they're rolling out. You know, here in Cleveland, we're dealing with the whole idea of 15-minute cities, and you know, they want Cleveland to be at the forefront of that movement. When you look around, you can see the evidence that this plan is being carried out. Whether
Yeah,
you like it or not, whether you want it to or not, it's something that's being carried out. You mentioned 2025. You know, there is an effort to have everybody digitally identified by the year 2025. Along with that, you're seeing tokenization of assets. You know, so the world's financial systems, as you stated, are definitely changing. I want to take this opportunity to invite those of you who are listening to join us on Facebook and YouTube. You can chime in, you can make some comments, and we'll post your comments to the screen so folks can see what's on your mind and what you're thinking, and you can participate in our broadcast today. We're really happy to be able to have this option now, and I want to just go ahead and go on record and thank our engineer, Tone Harley, for making this possible. So I encourage you to provide your input on our program, and we'll keep things moving. Also, I want to let you know that we go into overtime here at 360 Info Network. So if you are tuned in on the radio and you tune in on Facebook or YouTube, you can go to the 360 Info Network Facebook page. You can go to my Facebook page. You can go to Hamtonio's YouTube channel, and that's The Journey with Hamtonio. You can continue to listen and watch as we bring you this great information and we talk about the world economic system. Brother Wayne, there's something called central bank digital currencies. I think that people need to be aware of them, but they also need to be aware of the role that the Federal Reserve, the nation's central bank, plays in this whole scheme. Can you tell us what you know about central bank digital currencies and why we should know about them?
yeah. Central bank digital currencies, which carries, you know, I guess the more abbreviated term CBDCs is a type of digital currency that the central banks have all come together to issue in the various countries that they represent, that are mechanisms, a technology that is going to, in their minds, going to change the entire fabric of the financial system, the global financial system. And the central bank digital currencies, you know, are going to be the new representation of money. And they carry a lot of pitfalls with them, and in terms of global usage. So, what we know or have some idea about with respect to their design is that they are a biomechanical sensory apparatus that is driven by nanotechnology. And from what we've been able to see, based on information we've been able to acquire in terms of patent information, that it's a nanotech driven technology manufactured by Microsoft. And it records all of the bodily functions, sends them into a substantial database where everything you do is tracked. And there are certain specifics that are put in place that speak to what a person can purchase, what they cannot purchase, and if indeed different things are done, implemented by that person that do not fall in line with the overall political design or governmental formula, then that person's currency can be cut and will be cut, so that a lot of the things that they need with respect to their purchasing of various commodities that ensure their survival um, can be removed instantaneously. And the thing with the CBDCs is that the category that most people will fall in terms of the usage of the CBDCs looks at a CBDC, a central bank digital currency, which has an expiration date. So at the end of 30 days, it's like getting an allowance. When you were young, and for doing your chores around the house or what have you, cutting the grass in the front and backyards, whatever that looked like, you would get an allowance, and that allowance was supposed to carry you for anywhere between 2 weeks to a month, and then next month you get another allowance. And this is how the CBDC system is going to be set up, so that every month you get a specific amount of CBDCs to carry you through that month, and is designed to take care of all of your expenditures, all of them. And you have to gauge how you spend them, because if you exhaust your quota before the end of the month, you're out of luck, which the brother Silas that I was speaking with last night said he sees that as creating a very powerful, substantial black market. And I said, I can definitely see that.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's the short and skinny on the CBDCs, and that we're going to be roped into that financial reality.
And just to give some perspective, I think it was last year there was a strike by truckers in Canada. And what happened was, because they were protesting certain economic conditions at the time, uh, their assets got frozen in the banks. So what you said about perhaps freezing assets and whatnot, those kinds of things are pretty much in place already. So this is just going to take it to a new level. So it's not that we're sounding the alarm and we're trying to put everybody at a state of uneasiness, but what we are doing is letting you know what's coming and what's already here, so that you can do things to protect your own interests. I want to point out that there are countries in the world that have already issued central bank digital currencies. The Bahamas was actually the first country to do it. Nigeria has also done it. And of course, they've issued central bank digital currencies in China. But the issue that they're having with CBDCs is not so much the implementation, although that is an issue, but the real issue that they're having with CBDCs is adoption, because not everybody wants to use digital currency, or at least that type of digital currency. I think it's also important to point out that the US dollar, in a sense, is already digitized, because most of the transactions that involve the US dollar in America involve zeros and ones on a computer system and not the exchange of cash. You have a ledger system that the banks are using. And within this ledger system and the fractional reserve system, there are things that are being done that don't involve the physical movement of cash. But I want to shift gears and talk about another type of money, another type of currency that is very near and dear to Brother Wayne, and that's gold and silver. How do gold and silver and precious metals play into this scenario that's rolling out right now?
Yeah, I think they play a very major role. And one of the things that, we, as human beings on the planet, we take a lot for granted, and we just kind of go with the flow that has been created for us by individuals that really have their best interests at heart and not necessarily ours. So in 71, Nixon took the dollar off of the gold standard, which really created somewhat of a financial upheaval that really put America in a very strategic position. And the thing with all currencies, there over the last 300 years, there have been 250 paper currencies that have been utilized in the world to represent various, financial activities in various countries. All 250 of them have all failed. Each one has failed. So when you look at dollars, you want to first create the proper perspective of what a dollar is. And a dollar is just a derivative of silver and gold. It's a redesigned financial expression of real money. And the only two types of real money that exists on the planet is silver and gold that have been used for thousands of years. And so when you look at the paper market and the basically the overall derivative market, you're looking at substitutes. What becomes the best substitute to utilize as spending capital? And so gold and silver, now it's very fascinating because a lot of people are looking at the derivative markets as no longer being functional. The dollar, paper currency is no longer functional. The treasury notes, the bond market, all of these expressions of capital derivatives are taking a substantial hit right now, which is making them appear as to what they are, like just a substitute for real money. And so now you have 28 states in this country that are pushing legislation to make gold and silver legal tender in their various states. 12 out of those 28 states have already done it. It's already been done. So you can go into specific states right now and across the board utilize silver and gold for the purchasing of all of your commodities. There's a silver and gold asset bank called UPMA that you can go into, set up an account of silver and gold, they will give you a debit card connected to your account that you can utilize anywhere in the world for the purchasing of your other assets and general commodities that you need to function with in a practical way from day to day.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Okay.
There's
Mute.
You're muted.
There was a time when people just used gold and silver, and because of the encumbrances in moving the precious metal, they decided that they would just use these certificates or these notes or whatever. So it's really important to understand what happened in 1971. There was something called the gold standard, and countries around the world could come to the United States and exchange their dollars for real gold. But what happened was everybody was coming to get their gold, and the United States was going to run out of gold. So they flipped things around and they said, okay, we'll just give you this paper, and that paper represents the value of the gold that you supposedly own. So when you look at something like UPMA, it's kind of it's similar, except that they're holding your gold for you, but instead of you using paper as the instrument of exchange, it's digital information. So you use your card, it's a digital transaction. You own the gold, you're just paying a little bit for somebody to hold it for you. But I want to express one of Wayne's favorite mantras, and it comes to us courtesy of folks like Lynette Zhang and others who are proponents of having gold. And they say, if you hold the gold, you own the gold. If you own the gold, you hold the gold. There's nothing like having it in your possession. So, again, just want to put it out there, folks. Now is a good time to start purchasing gold. Now is a good time to start purchasing silver. And you can use instruments like UPMA, which is short for United Precious Metals Association, to acquire gold, to acquire silver, to have assets that have value. It's really important to have gold and silver because they represent a store of value. If you're holding on to fiat currency, i.e., US dollars, your money is losing value because of inflation. So we've talked about 2%, 3%, 8%, even more inflation. You're holding those dollars year after year in a savings account or 401k or something like that. The value of your money is going down. Brother Wayne, could you talk to us about gold and silver as stores of value and as assets, and why it's important to hold them? And I pretty much expressed it, but if you could just reinforce the point why it's important to hold gold and silver as opposed to fiat dollars.
Yeah, definitely. Because gold and silver, they qualify and reflect a presence of real, authentic money. And the whole reason you have a derivatives market is because of the scarcity, of these assets of being gold and silver, because to utilize them consistently, as you alluded to in your statement, other countries were coming in and turning their paper dollars in for gold. And the U.S. was like, "Nah, this isn't going to work for us." And across the board, right now, you have that same level of scarcity that countries around the world who invest in gold, who invest in silver, understand the productive limitations of these metals. And it's all about protecting them to ensure that they will see tomorrow. Because right now, you have like the National Geological Society. So the National Geological Society is stating that silver may become the first element to be removed from the periodic table, which is a pretty profound statement. They also say that come 2026, 27, 28, that we could very well be out of silver because silver is an industrial metal as well as a currency.
Yes.
So silver literally
Value.
occupies space in terms of a monetary metal, in terms of an industrial metal, in terms of jewelry. Silver creates the foundation for the entire electric vehicle market because you cannot have electric vehicle batteries without silver. Silver undergirds the entire solar paneling industry. Every Tomahawk missile that is manufactured has and needs 500 ounces of silver in it in order for it to operate. So you have silver in the two main countries that are the major silver producers are Mexico and China. And their mines are looking to be probably completely and totally mined out by based on this particular organization by 2028 at the latest, you know.
Wow. Yeah, that's very, very interesting. Yeah, I did do a little bit of research in the past about silver and the many uses of silver, and it talked about the possible scarcity of them. So that just brings value real actually a little bit more than gold in a sense, brings value to silver. But well, when you know, with this conversation, it brings me to what's going to happen in here. I'm sure some of our listeners are thinking and saying that okay, how are we going to operate? And it brings to mind the movie Hunger Games, where people just sitting around and waiting, to be called to get some resources, commodities, or whatever. They may be giving you a stipend or something. That's what that monthly digitized reference that you was making. It seemed like a little monthly stipend, and then we have to throw into this whole concept of IA, artificial intelligence on, pretty much taking the jobs, pretty much running the country, and then so again, see, I'm going to this conspiracy thing now. You know, what we're gonna do with the people now is you got different high level people talking about the population and the population control and things like that. So how did all that play in the whole mix, Wayne? Because we we seeing some things, we hearing some things, and I gotta say this too. I recall a lecture that you did a long time ago when we talked about this photon energy belt. I know you probably remember now. And this energy, and in several lectures we talked about getting ourselves together and ready for this new wave of change. So are we there? Are we here? You know, what do we do spiritually as well? Is, what do we hang on? We hang on to these tangibles. Do we get land? Do we get to growing our gardens again? Making, going back to the foundational things that most civilizations did to sustain themselves. Where it, because it looked like, that's why they went from this went into this digital arena in the first place. You know what I mean? To so they can control things. What's your thoughts, Dylan?
Yeah, I think it does get back to that. It does get back to having gardens and, maybe even doing canning and, when you look at the state overall of the world, um, you're looking at in terms of what the media, is pushing: food shortages, water shortages, um, a shift totally in terms of what money will represent. You're looking at a variety of different levels of upheaval that pretty much it depends how deep you want to go in to examine and walk around with the fear factor, because if you look at everything that's being promoted right now, especially that's coming out of the World Economic Forum, I mean, it's somewhat representative of some degree of insanity. And when you're and all, you can go to their website, and that's the other thing that is really profound, is that they're not trying to hide any of this. They're doing all of this is developing and being put together right under our noses. It's all in plain sight. They're not trying to hide. And so you have, when you go to the website of the WEF, you have an entire article there that's 2 pages on the need to eat bugs. So insect protein is going to become predominant as we turn this corner and step into the new world. And this is the new world that they have designed. People like Klaus Schwab, like Bill Gates, um, these individuals have taken the lead in determining what the new world is going to appear like. And that appearance, for those who do have a spiritual operation that they utilize on a daily basis, does not feel or look that productive to that type of individual. We're moving and have moved into a place of galactic space where now consciousness, global consciousness, is being impacted substantially. You have different things that are taking place on the planet as a whole that are very significant. Things like last July 29th, the planet started spinning faster, which through NASA and other scientific organizations and communities into a level, of emotional disruption, because that's a scary prospect that the Earth is now spinning faster, which increases how we experience time.
Okay.
Other things that have taken place is that they have found another ocean underneath the mantle of the earth. And this ocean, they say, totally envelops the circumference of the planet and
Hmm.
is deeper than the ocean that is on top of the planet. The thing that
Wow.
excites me probably the most is around the planet you have what are called ley lines or grid lines, and these grids are very instrumental in moving energy
Right.
from one area of the planet to another. And if you look at these grid lines carefully, where the vortexes are, you'll see that every major civilization in the ancient world literally built that civilization on the vortexes of the grids. Now, we refer now to these grid lines as ley lines. And there is an entire scientific community out here that measures the energy and the transmission of that energy in and through the grid lines or these ley lines. And what they have found is that the lines themselves are in a constant state of undulation. So they're on and they're off. They're vibrant and then inactive. One of the individuals that studies these lines very profoundly feels that there has been a consistent increase in the amount of energy that these grid lines are now carrying that is going to impact consciousness in the sense that when these grids, these ley lines, turn on completely, there will be a total immersion of this planet and humanity in the general frequencies that these grids are going to project in and around the entire planet. They feel that these grid lines, these ley lines, will be totally active by the end of 2024.
Brother Wayne, I got to interject this real quick. It seemed like two things. That's why it's ever so important, I think, for us to be on point and paying attention, because you got a cosmic thing going on in the planet, and
Yep,
you got this man going
yep,
on to try to try
yep,
to, it's like, wow, you know what I mean?
yep.
So this man, is he trying to outrun some of the inevitable things that's maybe
He's trying
happening
to get
because
in
of,
the way. He's
yeah,
definitely trying to get in the way
wow,
because he has that understanding, which really for him is an understanding of these processes that are coming together and manifesting a new reality for humanity. So their thing is to get out front of all of that and try to curtail, what could be a substantial imprinting and shifting of consciousness for humanity. There's this one guy, and he's very interesting. His name is David Morgan, and he's in the precious metals market. And one of the things he says when he's talking about resets, he says there will be two resets. The first reset is going to be done by man. It's a man-made reset. And that's one of the things I tell people all of the time is that when you hear the powers that be talking about a reset, you have to take into consideration and read between the lines. What they're telling you is that the life you've been living, the program that has been operational for you during the course of the many years you, your parents, etc., have been functional on the planet in this design is getting ready to go away. To do a reset means that everything that you've known in terms of how you've operated is getting ready to be redesigned. That's what a reset is. They're setting us up for a new way of being. So David Morgan says that the first reset is man-made, but the second reset will come through nature.
Mm.
And that's going to be the reset that is really going to determine a lot of how all of this plays out. Because you have the cosmological forces that are coming into play and determining various shifts of consciousness and also upheaval, in terms of telluric disturbances that would take place, on the planet. This planet has undergone extensive shifts in terms of how it operates and functions in the past, and there's no reason for us to dismiss the possibility of those shifts taking place in the very near future.
So we just have a few moments before we move over to our YouTube and Facebook broadcast, but a couple of things I wanted to chime in on, Brother Wayne. One, you talked about the whole concept of hidden in plain sight. And I know based on previous conversations we've had, you've talked about predictive programming. So hopefully in the second hour of our show, we can talk about that. The other thing that I want to bring up is the idea of universal basic income, because I think Brother Lynn touched on that earlier. With universal basic income, it's going to be kind of necessary just because of the fact that so many people are losing their jobs to artificial intelligence and the new technology. So how are they going to take care of people? Well, they'll give them an allowance. And as you pointed out, Brother Wayne, you'll get 30 days to spend the money and then you come back. In terms of a reset, uh, we're looking at a possibility that they will eliminate cash. They're talking about eliminating cash. And when you do that, you're seeing a transformation of the economic and financial system. And it's not really far-fetched for that to happen. All they got to do, just like they did in 1964, they said, okay, well, we're going to stop putting silver in your coins. We're going to use a cheaper metal. And so the money that you had that had value doesn't have any value anymore. Silver in that coin means that a mercury dime that has a face value of 10 cents is now worth $13. So
Yeah.
that's another reason to be paying attention. Before we make the shift, I just want to remind folks that you can join us on Facebook and YouTube by going to the 360 Info Network Facebook page. You can go to my Facebook page. You can also go to my YouTube channel, and you can go to Hamtonio's YouTube channel, The Journey with Hamtonio. You can pull those up, and you can continue to monitor the conversation that we're having. Also, just a quick plug, we're going to be doing a spoken word and music event at Larchmere Arts next Saturday at 7 p.m., 12726 Larchmere Boulevard. You can get in for $15, and we're just going to take cash at the door because Cash App ain't working for a brother anymore. Cash App, they hacked my account, so we still got to get that straight. Speaking of reforming the financial system, we also want to talk about cryptocurrency and Forex because those are two things, specifically cryptocurrency. From my perspective, it's a little bit easier to navigate the crypto than the Forex because you really got to understand options trading in order to take advantage of what's going on in Forex. But we're going to talk about that and more as we continue 360 Info Network on AM 1490 WERE, moving over to YouTube and Facebook. We'd like to thank our engineer, Tone Harley, for bringing everything together for us today and enabling us to do this broadcast for you. And we'd like to thank you for tuning in. So as always, know yourself, love yourself, be yourself, and make today your best day. Peace, family.
Peace.
All right. In just a few moments, as a matter of fact, right now, we're live on Facebook and YouTube. You've been told how you can tune in, chime in. You can make comments on Facebook and YouTube, and we'll do our best to get your sentiments on the air. Brother Wayne, it's been a journey of 3 years that we have been getting together and having conversations with our family and letting them know about cryptocurrency and Forex and precious metals and certain things that they can do to enhance their economic position. I want to make it absolutely and totally clear that we are not financial advisors. The information that we're sharing with you is for entertainment, education, and information purposes only. So don't go out and make any trades based on what we're telling you, and don't go out and buy a whole bunch of gold and silver, although you might want to do that based on what we shared with you. But right now we're navigating some really interesting times on the planet Earth. There's this group of countries called the BRICS: Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. And as recently as August, they added 6 more countries to this block of countries that really want to institute a reformation of the world economic system. And what they're proposing to do is to back the currency with a commodity. We're looking at India, we're looking at China, Poland, some other countries in the world, Russia. They're just buying up a whole bunch of gold. But when I hear about that, Brother Wayne, I just wonder if perhaps these countries might be putting themselves in the same situation that the U.S. was in when they had the gold and they were exchanging it for someone else. From your perspective, does it make sense to back currency with gold or silver? Or what are your thoughts about this paradigm shift? And also let us know about the significance of the petrodollar and the impact of the BRICS nations on the world reserve trading currency and the petrodollar specifically.
Yeah, I think that that is a move that, because the only two countries that are really in a position, I mean, a very stable and solid position with respect to their gold reserves is China and Russia. So if you look at, um, you know, basically establishing a currency that's going to be representative of a new direction, in financial infrastructure. then yeah, you're stepping into the very thing that the US stepped into. And again, this goes back to, this is why the derivative class, as an asset class, becomes so important, because in order to protect, the quantitative amount, of silver and gold, you must have derivatives. And so this is where cryptocurrency, I believe, is going to come in and play a major role in redesigning, bolstering, and creating the new derivative class that a lot of the major players in the world already, like BlackRock, um, Fidelity, um, and JP Morgan Chase. A lot of these individuals have already stepped into deeply into the cryptocurrency market, and have actually submitted paperwork to the SEC for ETF approval. And you're looking at Kathy Wood with ARC. Um, there's right now a very powerful movement that deals with the I guess you could actually say that it is a reformation of the cryptocurrency, or a reigniting, of the program, of the cryptocurrency direction, that everybody's going to have to like begin to pay attention to, because as a derivative market, you're going to have to look at that, unless you jump over into the CBDCs. And I think this is one thing that the various political systems around the world are counting on, in that the CBDCs are going to manage the general population, global population around the world. The BRICS nations as a whole, and their relationship in terms of the pressure that they're putting on the dollar right now as the world's reserve currency, we can say with some degree of absolution that the dollar's seen its better days as the world reserve currency, and that is going, in terms of that position of power, is going to be removed. When that happens, when that takes place, we can't really put a date on that. But right now, we can actually look at the various building blocks that are creating that new design for where money is going to go, and that the dollar, as the dominant world reserve currency, is going to lose that position.
Wayne, let me say something. When we talk and have these conversations, I guess I'm just gun shy. As in, if you study history and you study how this country and Europeans have done things in the past with these smoke screens and these unseen hands, that you look at, watch this while I do this over here, you know, and they
Signs of misdirection.
yeah, misdirection. That's the word I'm looking for. And so, um, with that being said, and they have put it out there early, way in 2015 or earlier, talking about recess, and talk about globalization. That's been a conversation, and God knows how long we've been talking about New World Order. You know what I mean? That's been a normal cliche that's been spewed out there for the longest. So generally, what this man do? he puts out a, or he causes a situation to happen so he could come fix the problem. That's his normal way of doing things. You know what I mean? And so
Right.
that's why I'm gun shy. So we over here get nervous about this whole brick situation and see some of these superpowers linking up and folks are joining up and things like that and the things that's going on in this country, whatever. I'm just saying, just always in the back of my mind, I always got to say, okay, is this a power play? So they can say, uh, I give you in terms of this country as well. Let crime run crazy. And so when I say to you, hey, I'm gonna put a chip on you so you don't have to worry about getting robbed. I'm gonna put cameras in your community so you can see everything. But there's a double-edged sword to that always. Now I can watch you, I can monitor you, so I create this stuff, then I come back with the fix. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, no question. I mean, that's one of the that's a very strategic way to operate, and
Yeah.
it has worked well for them in the past. I
Yeah.
mean, history shows us how well it has worked. But I think that a lot of the shifts that are coming in cosmologically, a lot of the downloads that are taking place is really creating a new way of how we perceive our realities, and I think we're becoming more and more um, just clear about the gaminess of the world and the various systems that are put in place that are there supposedly to provide security for us, but we're now beginning to see that these systems are really based on a level of dysfunction that creates abstraction in our life, and not continuity, not fluidity. A lot of compartmentalization that um, creates a lot of ambiguity as we move from one place to another, and what that's going to look like or should look like. I think that it's a new day, and I look at that in a variety of different ways. Even when I listen to a lot of the pundits and analysts in the precious metals market, I listened to this one brother um, yesterday, and he has his program is called Stackers University, and he was really getting on Andy Sheckman, who I personally like, and was talking about Andy's breakdown in terms of value of silver. So this brother is going through history and showing the various ratios, the silver to gold ratio, and he comes up and really believes that silver is really not going to go over $30 an ounce. And to me, that's just pure insanity
Mm,
because he's not factoring in all of the other dynamics that go into the game that is currently on board to shift and create a new reality, because part of this reality with the CBDCs and everybody being subsidized, provided for by various political institutions, is that we won't be able to afford silver, let alone gold.
mm,
That's the game. The game is to allow these precious metal assets to achieve such a high level of value that no one will be able to afford them. And therefore, you'll be relegated to your current position utilizing the CBDCs. And in terms of being able to step out of that box and generate a different reality for yourself, that idea in itself will be impossible to realize.
So, based on what you're saying and the current state of the silver market specifically, now would be a good time to buy silver. You stated that there's a pending scarcity, so to speak, of silver, and the demand for it in industry and as a instrument of commerce, so to speak. So, the lesson here, folks, is if you have an ability to buy silver, you might want to think about it. There are a lot of different ways that you can do that. You can go to a website like Miles Franklin, and you can purchase silver directly from that website. Just to give you another gem, you can go to valcambi.com. That's VALCAMBI.com. You can actually buy gold and silver by the gram. You can also buy these instruments called gold backs. They're paper and polymer instruments that have gold woven into them, and these are a store of value. They're quite I guess in demand right now. So just go online, look up Val Canby, look up Miles Franklin, look up the
Provident,
other things that
Provident
we,
Metals is a good one too.
yeah.
Provident
So
Metals. They send it to you, and you have it right in your hands. They send
yeah,
it to you, get platinum and all that. Provident Metals.
right. So I wanted to go back and talk about cryptocurrency for a minute because we did touch upon that, and we also talked about the paradigm shift that's taking place within the cryptocurrency world. Brother Wayne, you mentioned BlackRock and their application for a spot ETF by the FCC, and I want to put this into perspective for folks who may not know about the SEC, may not know what a spot ETF is, may not know the significance and what's going to happen as a result of BlackRock, Fidelity, and other companies getting involved in ETFs. BlackRock is one of the largest companies in the world when it comes to assets. And what they would like to do is purchase a significant amount of Bitcoin and offer people the opportunity to invest in shares of their ownership of Bitcoin. So this is going to have a massive influence on the cryptocurrency market because they're going to spend a lot of money. Now, last year, the cryptocurrency market got up to about 2 billion, I believe it was, $2 billion, right, Wayne?
Yeah.
Or was it
The
trillion? It
two,
was actually 2 trillion. I'm
two,
sorry. Way off the mark. $2 trillion. BlackRock, I think I could be wrong about this, but I think they have about 11 trillion in assets.
13.
Okay, it's gone up 13 trillion. So they've got these massive amounts of capital that they have access to that they'll be able to make these purchases. With this massive infusion of capital into the cryptocurrency market, some of those cryptocurrencies are going to grow substantially in value. So, right now, you have an opportunity to purchase cryptocurrency that's going to expand exponentially in value. And these are assets that you will have access to, that you'll be able to store on your own personal device and in essence become your own banker. We've been witnessing the banks running game on us for years, since the inception of the Federal Reserve in 1913, where they have manipulated the rate of inflation. They've had your money in their bank and have had complete control of it, and now they want even more control over your money. So it's really important to pay attention to what's going on in the cryptocurrency market. And I know a lot of people think, oh, it's smoke and mirrors. Oh, it's not real. You can't hold it in your hand. But as we look at this transformation of our financial and economic system, you're seeing that assets are being moved into digital realms and away from you just having something in your hand.
Oh
So,
yeah,
yeah,
no question. I mean, you have Citibank, J.P. Morgan Chase, and Wells Fargo. You know, those are three of the more dominant banks in the world that will influence the direction of smaller banks that are still operational in the near future. But they've all tokenized their holdings. So if you have money in any of one of those financial institutions, your money has been tokenized. This tokenization sets up an easy imprint of the CBDCs on the token so that the transference of what a CBDC represents will easily be substantiated, with the whole concept of tokenization in the banking system that we're looking at right now.
yeah. Yeah, tokenization is definitely real, and these are things, folks, that you can look up. I mean, we're giving you information, but it's incumbent upon you to do the research to find out. So be looking up central bank digital currencies. Don't take our word for it. Find out the implications of those things. Look up cryptocurrency, get an education about blockchain. What I meant to share earlier when I brought up BlackRock is just the whole pivot, and I think you probably alluded to it, Brother Wayne. 3 or 4 years ago, Larry Fink, who was a person who's running that company, he had a really dim view of cryptocurrency. He had a dim view of that whole platform, and he's done an about face, and now all of a sudden he's embracing the possibilities. But what they have discovered is that the blockchain is something that they can use to their advantage as well. Everyday people were becoming millionaires because of their ability to invest in cryptocurrency and take advantage of projects. Some people lost money with cryptocurrency. I'm not going to sweep a broad brush over that, but a lot of it is because they may not have known what they were doing. But people are becoming a lot more savvy, and people are also utilizing artificial intelligence to make investments in the crypto world, and they're doing quite beautifully with it. The reality is that because young folks are so adept at navigating the digital world, they're taking advantage of being able to invest in cryptocurrency. Those of us who are long in the tooth, who may not know how to copy and paste an address online, or copy and paste this or that, and we're not technologically proficient, we're missing out on it. So that's why it's so important for us to get up to speed, to do our homework, to do our research, and take advantage of the opportunity there is right now, especially as you brought out, Brother Wayne, leading up into the year 2025. You want to talk about this window of opportunity that we have right now to generate wealth?
Yeah, I mean, this is it, and it's that's a really interesting question because it kind of bounces off of the conversation that I was having with Silas last night, and it seems like there isn't a whole lot of time, but there is enough time to really pull all of your assets together, secure yourself, and create a level of, you know, uh, stabilization with respect to, just your finances. And it's about being strategic. I mean, that's the bottom line right now is having, getting, and being proactive, with the information you receive to begin building some degree of solidarity for yourself, financial solidarity. And again, it's really about having the heart to step outside the box and do something different that's going to ensure and secure your immediate survival as we turn this corner, and just being in a place where you're going to get good information that's going to allow you to create those kind of strategies. That's key.
You have talked about the idea specifically in the first chapter of your book about the universe being mental. There is a spiritual and mental connection to prosperity. So, what I like to do right now is just offer our viewing audience some keys, some gems from you that will enable them to shift that mindset and some practices that they can become involved with that will allow this paradigm shift to happen. It's really a mentality of prosperity versus a mentality of lack of abundance. Can you talk about ways that perhaps we can shift our mental energy and our spiritual energy by using some of the techniques and methods that you are aware of to increase abundance in our lives?
Yeah, definitely. You know, one of the more powerful um, and simple techniques is a breathing technique, which connects, which is, we refer to it as alternate nostril. And the alternate nostril process is important because it actually connects into an area in the subconscious mind through what's called the central channel. And let me see if I can get a visual real quick. So, on the human body, and you look at this particular piece here, and let me see, I might even have this in yeah, here we go. So when you look at this, and you look at this front channel here, how it runs up the body into the head. So that's the channel that you're working. And by doing alternate nostril, there are two smaller channels on either side. And as you inhale into one nostril, you close off the right, inhale into the left first. And you can start, with a sequence of, say, 6 to 3. So you inhale to a count of 6, and you hold to a count of 3, block off the left, exhale out of the right to a count of 6, hold to a count of 3, inhale back into the right to a count of 6, hold to a count of 3, then exhale out of the left. So that's the basic practice. The things that make it operational is, first of all, you have to utilize tongue connection. So it's imperative that you take the tip of the tongue and place it on the ridge that runs along the roof of the mouth. When you do that, you connect these two circuits that run up the back and down the front. When those two circuits are connected, they in turn connect 12 smaller circuits that run throughout the entire human body, really the body mind. So by doing alternate nostril, it connects to an area in the subconscious mind that is the area for how one generates manifestation. So the holding of the breath on the two smaller channels that up, you have the central channel here, two smaller channels here. String art is so weird, man. Everything is backwards. You know, you think you're looking at the camera going this way, but you're really not going that way. You're going this way. So you have the two smaller channels, one on this side of the central and one on this side of the central. And the longer you hold the breath in either one of those channels, the wider the central channel becomes. The wider the central channel becomes, the deeper and more integrated it becomes into what's called the impartial mind. The deeper it makes its way into the impartial mind, the more connected you become with the power to manifest reality. And that's the secret and the key to alternate nostril that very few people are aware of. The whole purpose of the alternate nostril is to clear the nadis or the meridians, to imprint on the impartial mind so that you follow the imprint with a level of intention that allows you to create your own general daily realities as you see fit.
Brother Wayne, you just dropped something serious on us, and I know that there are probably folks who it just went over and around. I also want to mention the fact that you are a Qigong master and that you do offer workshops and clinics and seminars and so forth and so on. So if you would like to, you can share your information and ways that folks can reach out to you and take advantage of understanding what you just shared with us.
Yeah, they can go to my website, which is waynebchandler.com, and punch that in. They can also find me on Facebook, but it seems like most people, prefer to use the website connection. And again, that's WAYNE, the letter B as in Bravo, CHAND LER.com, WayneBChandler.com.
Okay. Well, I know that you have to move on. You've got another commitment, and I definitely want to thank you for joining us today and sharing your wisdom. You know, thankfully, this is being recorded so people will be able to come back and listen to it again and perhaps take a deeper dive into some of the things that we mentioned. I also want to mention to you that we do have gatherings where you will be able to get information about the things that we are talking about. So I'm going to share that information on the YouTube channel. Those who want to plug in can listen and hear the wisdom that he has to share with us about precious metals and the world economic scene and so forth and so on. And I do the best I can to bring information to you about those things as well. So with that, I'd like to thank you for joining us. I thank my brother Hamtonio for creating this platform, 360 Info Network, that enables us to share the information that we do with you and do everything that we can to move the needle forward, enable people to live their best lives and live in their purpose. So, as always, know yourself, love yourself, be yourself, make today your best day. Peace, everyone.
Peace.
Peace.